NDC 8.0%. Let's have some conversations. Dr. Hayford Ayerakwa joins us to share some more insights on the report. And also Mohammed, Abass, a lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, a political scientist, also joins us on the line. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good evening to you and to your viewers as well.
Okay, I'll start with you, Dr. Ayerakwa, since you were part of those who conducted this survey. Tell us the rationale behind the survey and what, if it met the objectives for which you conducted it.
Thank you very much. So we all are witnesses to the outcome of 2024 elections. And as a policy think tank, we thought beyond what the political parties themselves are putting across to the general populace, it is important to have an independent lens into what we can pick from the grounds as the reasons for the defeat of the then government. But beyond that, we knew that immediately elections are declared, and when a winner declared, we know that the campaign for the next election automatically begins. And so it's a number of indicators that we try to figure out what really led to that. And as part of that survey, we also sought to dig a little deeper into the future of then previous administration. And we knew that this question of who leads the party is a question that will come up strongly. And so a question was posed to the different respondents. And I must say that the respondents we went out to speak to, over 4,000 of them, were not necessarily NPP people. We decided to work across specific polling stations, and we sampled irrespective of political affiliation. So we're not interested in your political affiliation. But it turned out that, once we ask the question, we try to find out, and we go way back into 2016, 2020, and 2024 election to see what your voting pattern, your voting behavior is looking like. And interestingly, the people we spoke to, for example, in 2016, 83% of them indicated that, yes, they voted in 2016. And out of that, we also have about, in 2020, the number increased to 87%, and then it declined to 84% in 2024 elections. And so generally, when you put everything together, we try to find out, assuming you had to make a decision for the next leader of this country, and we have 52% of the people who we interviewed indicating that they would think that Bawumia will be an ideal candidate for 2028 general election. But when you disaggregate the data to look at the voting behavior of the respondents, i.e., who they voted for, and also whether or not they align with any specific political party. So those who explicitly say they align with the NPP, 70.6% of them say that they prefer Bawumia to lead the NPP going to the general election for 2028. And interestingly, when you take those who who say they align with the NDC, you find that over 48% of them actually prefer Kennedy Agyapong, as you rightly read from the report. And so it's quite interesting how the opposition prefers a different candidate, and the incumbent, the party in question, rather prefers a different candidate. And for us, that was a question of further interrogation. And we have done quite a lot of work around this. And at this point, what we're trying to put across is the data as it says. And generally, I think that there is a general appetite within the NPP to maintain their political flag bearer for the 2024 election in going to 2028 election. And several reasons were accounted for it. And one of such has been the issue of the fact that he is, in fact, when you look at the contribution of the different stakeholders identified to the campaign for 2024, he stands so tall as one person who they believe contributed so much and had very little impact from the other members of his party contributing towards his campaign. And purely this is based on perceived disunity amongst the rank and file of the party at the time. And so it is believed that given his contribution, which led to what was achieved in the previous election, if the efforts are put in place to unite the party and get everybody, all hands on deck, he stands a better chance than anybody within the party at the moment. That is what the data shows.
We come to you, Mohammed Abass, as a political scientist yourself, and following how the NPP has been going through up until now. The two contenders at the moment who are making a lot of waves, Dr. Bawumia and Kennedy Agyapong. Per this research, it looks like many people are leaning towards Dr. Bawumia, but we see what is happening in the party. The internal tensions are becoming higher and higher, thicker and thicker as the days go by. The survey says that if they can consolidate their base to throw their support, do you think that if the NPP finally goes to the polls to choose a flag bearer, and it happens that Dr. Bawumia wins this flag bearer race, or won the race, the NPP, looking at what is happening at the moment, they would be able to consolidate everybody to throw their support behind him?
Thank you very much. And I think that is a legitimate concern regarding the tension within the party. Tension is normal, and especially important events, political events of this nature, when you are where people are competing, people are contesting. So definitely tension is bound to be there. And in the case of NPP currently, it's not only tension that is generated by this coming election. It also has to do with a lot of tension that has not been resolved, has accumulated in the past, following the lead up to the previous election they had. Some of the things they said to each other that wasn't too healthy, which we all are aware of. So it generated a lot of friction, and friction, of course, creates this tension, this heat, which I thought the party didn't do much to address. So they have a lot of deficits over there as far as those tensions are concerned, because they didn't deal with it properly the way they are supposed to deal with it. And then this coming election again, flag bearer election, I think it's also going to generate its own tension. So now the main concern is how they manage this tension. And this is the responsibility of party leadership. And this is where they are called into action. And I expect party leadership, and I have said this several times, both the formal, that is those currently occupying position, executive position, and then even informally bringing reputable people with influence. Politics is about influence, right? People, members of the parties who are very influential, and try to manage this tension very well. And I think if they do that, then definitely whoever emerges as a winner, a lot of groundwork has been done to enable them manage, some of the fallouts that will also happen during this period leading to the election and even after.
Well, how interesting is it that per this survey, Dr. Bawumia seems to be leading within the party. However, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong is leading outside of the party. How interesting is it?
That is interesting. I don't know exactly what we mean by outside of the party. Because if you say outside of the party, it's not as if you are dealing with a homogeneous group outside of the party.
Survey among NDC supporters, Kennedy Agyapong is the preferred candidate.
So if it is dealing with NDC supporters, I think that is understandable, because for the NDC, as we all know, Bawumia is not in their good standing. You remember when he and Nana Akufo-Addo, in opposition, contested, many of the things that ensued between, especially Bawumia and the current president, at a point even became personal. So it's virtually like it was between Bawumia and the entirety of NDC then, because NDC really wanted to maintain power, etc. And Bawumia appeared to be the serious problem for the whole party. I mean, we all saw the events, I mean, as it unfolded. And when they came into power and they had their 8 years too, the just ended general election, which Mahama won, you'll see clearly that it was virtually targeting Bawumia personally. So clearly, I mean, historically, you see that Bawumia has had it, a lot as far as dealing with NDC, the conflict and all the friction. So it's only natural that it wasn't Kennedy that was on the spotlight. It was totally, Kennedy was, I mean, it was just Bawumia that was on the spotlight. So definitely he earned all these, if you like, bad reputation from the NDC. He's the bad guy from the NDC perspective. He's the one who was virtually being attacked. In fact, if you look at the just ended election, it's not even Nana Akufo-Addo who was being attacked. It wasn't the NPP party who was being attacked. It was Bawumia personally. And we all saw it. So definitely it's not surprising that currently, I mean, given that perception of the NDC guys, Bawumia in their mind, consciously and subconsciously, is that bad guy because they've never dealt with Kennedy in any competition directly.
Well,